Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of This Week in Philadelphia Sports, where, as you might have guessed it, we go over everything that's happened this week in Philadelphia sports again. If you're new to this channel and you haven't yet hit subscribe and enjoy this sort of content, make sure you hit that big red button and drop all of your opinions on today's topics down below in the comments. I just want to start things off by saying we've got some big news that's kind of not Philadelphia sports related, kind of is, and that's that I was actually off this week on a mini vacation. And your first reaction is like, one, Liam's actually left his bedroom, and two, but wait, how was he off if there were still articles and videos? I just love you guys. I pre-made a couple of videos, I wrote a load of articles, got them all scheduled out, and then I went to see Travis Scott in London, but more importantly, LJ's coming over. For those of you who don't know, that is my passport, which means I can now come to Philadelphia. The problem is, gotta work out how to do it. I can get an ESTA, which is part of the visa waiver program, but it means I can't work, which is a real problem. Or I could apply for a visa, which takes much longer, but means I could live there for 5 years. So either way, I'm coming there at some point. It's just working out the logistics. It's a huge step, so hopefully I'll be there partying with you all and getting to know you all much better sooner rather than later. On to the Philadelphia Eagles news this week, and it looked like I'd finally had some time off at the perfect time because nothing had happened. And then I get back and the podcast curse strikes again. For those of you who don't listen to the Outside Insider, right at the very, just as I'm closing off the podcast, just as we're closing the curtains on another show, it's announced that the Eagles are bringing back veteran running back Darren Sproles on a one-year deal. There are plenty of opinions about this. The 36-year-old hasn't actually been healthy for quite some time. He's missed 23 games over the last 2 years. Of course, tore his ACL and broke his arm in 2017, and then a hamstring injury that kept him on IR for most of 2018. That in itself caused some discussion. There were some fans that wanted to see the team move on from Sproles and bring in some much needed help in other areas, and other teams who were happy to let him return, and he did make an impact. There was a very strong game against the Houston Texans towards the end of last season, but his impact in the playoffs was ultimately minimal. Now, there are several ways of looking through this lens. One, obviously Sproles wants to come back and win a Super Bowl and be active on the roster for it, which is totally understandable. We don't yet know what his role is going to be or how healthy he truly is. We can assume already that Jordan Howard and Miles Sanders are going to have their roles relatively untouched, but it's the running back positions below that are now completely into the fray. Will Darren Sproles be that change of pace back? Is this a reflection on the potential lingering health concerns over Clement, who ended his year on IR and was battling injury problems throughout 2018 in what looked to be a year where he took a step back that no one can really understand why after an impressive campaign as an undrafted rookie in 2017. There is a chance that the Birds carry 5 running backs this year, and if we do look at this quick roster projection without throwing too much weight into this before camp has even started, we assume that Sanders and Howard are at the top. Darren Sproles would come in third. From that point, you're looking at Corey Clement, and after that, it's a complete wildcard fight between a guy like Wendell Smallwood, someone like Boston Scott, who many assume was going to take on those primary punt return duties despite never returning punts in college, or Donnell Pumphrey, whose experiment with the Eagles has gone about as well as my love life, so there's that. There are those who like the idea of Darren Sproles returning as someone that has been on this team for 5 years now, that has been through thick and thin through the end of the Chip Kelly era, and of course was a huge passing outlet for Carson Wentz in his rookie season, something the Birds have tried to emulate and never really found consistently when Sproles is off the field. So just maybe this is that final missing piece in certain situations where Sproles can come in, pony up the backfield with another running back and just provide that extra element of danger. But then there are those who aren't happy with the move and assume that it's going to take away snaps or potentially risk those younger running backs like Josh Adams, who we've not yet mentioned. Adams ended up leading the team in rushing yards last year and performed really impressively, all things considered, but now he's at risk. He's in that scrap with Wendell Smallwood, with Boston Scott, and Scott is a guy, you've seen a video on this channel, there have been several articles on phillysportsnetwork.com. I'm rooting for the Louisiana Tech product. I think he's got a great skill set, built in a similar vein to Sproles, and if we look at this clearly, his fans were fuming when they found out the Eagles had poached him from their practice squad. I don't think the Eagles are gonna risk running back. They've got too many high potential running backs on that roster. The question is the current ability, and they're a lot lower than where they'd like to be. So I understand the move, and you know what you're getting with Darren Sproles, and if you put him in behind Jordan Howard and a running back that struggles in pass protection, that maybe hasn't got the receiving experience that Sproles has, I completely understand it. But then there are guys guys like Scott, like Josh Adams, like Clement, who are bound to take a knock-on effect. So it's a double-edged sword. I'm sure Doug Peterson is going to figure it out. But hey, do you know what? If it means the offense is finally balanced and they're not just going to pass it 87 times a game and then realise 6 weeks in they should be running it, then try to run it and then realise all the running backs are injured, I'll take it. Wow, that was a podcast rant. That was a throwback. But let me know your thoughts on the Darren Sproles situation. Are you for it, against it, or uneven? Let me know down below. Whoa, emergency broadcast interrupting you to let you know we can give you this merchandise, or this merchandise, or this merchandise. You can get it all down at the link in the description. It's the best way to support Philly Sports Network. They're affordable, they look good, they're stylish. You can just hit the word and you'll be fine. You can get them all in the description down below. Let's go. Elsewhere though, the Madden 20 ratings came out and boy have we got some discussion about this. Carson Wentz, an 82 overall. Now I understand it, he's coming off of 2 injury-plagued seasons, but is an 82 a bit low? Maybe an 85? Like an 85 would be like an elite quarterback, a very, very good quarterback. I would say 85 would have been a good shout. Eagles fans can't complain too much though. The team are officially the highest rated in the game once again, but they can complain. This, for example, okay? Isaac Seumalo, the team's starting left guard, who went from guard to centre, back to guard mid-season, winning that roll-off from a struggling Stefan Wisniewski, is rated 70 overall. You might think that's not bad. Isaac Seumalo's been pretty serviceable. I would say it's closer to a 75, like a bang average offensive line grade. 70 feels a bit low. I would argue that 70 is also a bit high for Shelton Gibson, who caught as many passes in 2018 as Nick Foles. Isaac Seumalo, who plays in just about every game. Shelton Gibson, who plays in every game on special teams, same rating. The team is still the highest rated, and LJ Fort is called LJ. He's on the team. He's got a rating that's a little bit lower than I think should be, purely because he's called LJ. That and he's a good player. And finally, NFL training camp is upon us. We're about 11 days away from preseason football. I can't wait. This is my favourite time of year. It is an absolute pleasure to be doing this with you guys. Getting the YouTube channel to this point, to partner with phillysportsnetwork.com, to almost have that hybrid content between the two, it's been a dream of mine since day one. It's been 5 years in the making to get to this point. We've got a lot in the works, but between now and camp, between now and next Friday, I need to know what you guys want to see. Do you want to see positional spotlights? Do you want to see player spotlights? Are there certain players? Is it a film room? What do you want to see me talk about between now and Friday? Leave a comment down below. The comments with the most likes, or the topics that get the most comments, I'll do. I want you guys to shape this content as much as me. So if there's something you're passionate about that you're not seeing elsewhere, drop it in the comments and I promise you I'll get on it over the course of this week. Unless there are like 87 topics, I'm not bionic. Got a 38-inch vertical, but I'm not bionic. So we'll see what we can do, but drop your comments down below. On to the Sixers, and they gave Ben Simmons a 5-year max extension, solidifying their core for years to come. They've now got Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, and Ben Simmons all down for the considerable future. That's going to be their big three to build around. We all knew this was coming. It's nice to see Ben take the deal early and not kind of play hardball or try and drive a certain market. He gets the max deal, but the best part of all of this, there's not much you can say other than people still critiquing his shot, but Angelo Cataldi had this to tweet a little bit earlier on in the week, and it blows my mind, just stating that imagine how much more Ben Simmons would be paid if he could shoot. He'd be paid the same, Angelo. That's how a max deal works. You're paid the same. It's maximum. Yeah, he's money. On to the Philadelphia Flyers, and they signed a former first-round pick. Woo! In the way of Chris Stewart. He's never really materialised into anything more than being a bottom 6-4 type of guy, but he's got over 600 games of experience, which is mental. So he's going to come in, compete in training camp. Best case scenario, they've got someone they can stick in their fourth line. Worst case scenario, they don't. No risk move here. They also signed Nicholas Cabell to a 2-year, 2-way contract worth $700,000. NAK has been a prominent AHL forward for quite some time, but has never really been able to make the most of limited NHL opportunities. So will that change this season? Only time will tell, but he's a young guy the team can build around, and hopefully he continues to develop as he has done over the last couple of years down at Lehigh Valley. On to the Phillies, who are 5-5 in their last 10, which is about as mediocre as one could possibly hope for, and they're just one game behind the Washington Nationals after breaking even with the LA Dodgers in what felt like the most intense series in quite some time. The last time I saw something that intense was the first episode of Chernobyl. That was very intense. This was a close second. Team also traded for Mike Morin from the Minnesota Twins, someone that is 10-8 in 6 MLB seasons and has an ERA of 3.18. Is that good or bad? I don't know, but it is lower than 3.28, and that is all that matters. The Phillies are being active as we get towards the MLB trade deadline, and I think this recent resurgence in production, the dominant 15-hit performance recently, it's just maybe showing new signs of life that they're out of this slump, and maybe it's going to give the front office some confidence to go out there and make that win now move, because this team is still capable of pulling the upset and getting into the playoffs. Only time will tell, but I think we're genuinely moving in the right direction now. And finally, the Philadelphia Union extinguished the fire with a 2-0 win this weekend. They extend their lead at the top of the Eastern Conference in emphatic fashion, and I've heard that Jordan Mailata was a special guest there. So the Aussie rugby star that is also, of course, now playing for the Philadelphia Eagles, he was in attendance for the Union game. So why aren't you? Join the Sons of Ben, get down the River End, have some fun and enjoy some soccer, because I'm British and I told you to, and that's kind of my entire brand. So it's that, or buy some merchandise from our website at Teespring. The link's in the description. But thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this week's content. If you want to see more, hit that subscribe button down below. It will mean the absolute world to me. And drop your opinions on today's topics down there. So not there in the comments. Like, we'll aim it that way. We'll aim it there. Drop them there. I want to know what you guys think. Thank you for all of the support. We're that close to 12,000 subscribers now. I'm so stoked for the season that lies ahead. We're going to have so much content coming your way. It's going to be a roller coaster. We've made leaps and bounds. I'm literally struggling to sit still. Might just have to... That hurt. On that note, see you next time.